Hey, what's up? Welcome to your mobility snack. Today we're going to focus on hip flexion. So the very first thing I'm going to do is get the hips moving through their fullest range of motion, kind of give myself a self-assessment, and I'm going to start with hip cars. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a dowel, or you can support yourself against a wall. I'm going to take my leg out in front of me. I'm going to take my leg across the midline into abduction. We're going to do our hip cars. We're going to move through hip external rotation, try to squeeze out as much rotation as we can here and into flexion. And then I'm going to move into hip flexion a little bit more, starting to go into internal rotation and then abduct. So here we're going to abduct as much as we can without rotating through the torso. Once we run out of rotation here, we're going to internally rotate, sweep our leg back into extension. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see that. So sweeping our leg back into extension without dumping through the spine here. And we're going to extend and rotate and bring it all the way so that our knee joins the other knee. I'm going to support myself on this side. From here, we're going to extend back. So our very first movement is extension. So squeezing this stuff right here to pull back. We're going to externally rotate, bringing the leg back up into flexion where we came from. We're going to come back into adduction. Just show you from here. So as we come back into adduction, we're going to begin to externally rotate. So try and squeeze out as much external rotation as you can. And then we're going to take that leg and try and close down and get a little bit of adduction as we finish off our hip car. Okay, that's going to be the first exercise for your mobility snack. I want you to pause the video here and do about 4 or 5 reps on each hip. Welcome back. Here we're going to place a yoga block between the knees. If you don't have a yoga block, that's totally fine. You can take both fists here and place them right between the knees there. Okay, so I'm going to take my yoga block, place it between the knees there. I'm going to sit up nice and tall, and then I'm just going to sneak my legs out here into internal rotation. Internal rotation on both hips. Okay? From here, what I'm going to do is I'm looking for a stretch or a sensation back here in the back of my hips. You might feel a little bit here as well, but I'm looking to find something back here in the hips. So you can shift your pelvis around just a little bit and see if you can find a little bit of a stretch back there. Maybe you have a little bit more internal rotation that you can go into. Okay, now that I've found my stretch, I'm going to hold that stretch for 2 minutes, just breathing. Hang out there, breathe. After I've completed my stretch, what I'm going to begin to do is my pales contraction, which is I'm trying to take this leg here and I'm trying to rotate it this direction. That's going to make the instep of my foot heavy on the floor, and that's going to target or engage this tissue of the inner thighs that would have me scoop into this position here. I'm obviously not going to be able to scoop into that because the floor is blocking that. So I'm going to ramp up to my greatest effort. That's 100% effort. And I'm going to just do one hip at a time, ramp up to my maximum effort. And once I reach my maximum effort, I'm going to hold that for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then I'm going to do my rails contraction, which is to contract this stuff on the outer side of the hip, try and squeeze as much as I can, making the instep of the foot light. So I'm trying to rotate the leg this direction. And I'm going to hold that for 5 to 10 seconds, maximal effort. And I'm going to slowly relax. Then I'm going to switch to this hip and do the same thing. Pause the video here, do your 2-minute passive stretch, followed by your pales contraction and rails contraction for one hip, and then pales contraction and rails contraction for the other hip.